Kolhton Fry. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. Just moved to Boston to pursue a career in law. I really like education and learning. It's really important to broadening, the scope of how I view everything and how we view things as a people. I'm husband to an amazing wife, and I think I'm a very caring and loving person. I like to have a lot of fun. Before my injury, I worked in construction. I built homes and remodeled homes, and I worked for my father, and it was his company, and the design was for me to take it over eventually, and I really enjoyed it. Being able to construct something that there's houses I built that still stand, and that's kind of cool. I played a lot of ultimate frisbee, and rode motorcycles and hiked a lot. So I was pretty active individual. My injury occurred on September 9th. This is 2012. I was 22 years old when I got injured. One of my sports that I like to do was motocross, and ridden since I was 9. It was weird. It wasn't on a jump or anything. I was just coming into a turn and went over the bars and just landed funny. I landed on my head, and I was wearing helmet and everything. Just all the energy went into my spine, and it was a compression fracture. So it just destroyed the T5 vertebra, and all the bones decided to go through my spinal cord. I was fully aware, and so that immediately set me into a mindset of very practical thinking of, all right, let's, get me on the backboard. Don't move me. It wasn't until I got into, started doing, the first phase of rehab that it really kind of broadened, like, hey, this is something that's not going to solve itself in the next few months. In my mind, for some reason, there was this like 2-year thing in my head that it would last for 2 years. Let's do the rehab. Let's get me independent. And I've always associated independence with driving for some reason. So I was driving within 6 months of my injury. The biggest barrier I faced was kind of in my own mind a little bit. I was not allowing myself to think more forward than those 2 years. It took a while before I could actually think long term. So some of the things that helped me get beyond that 2-year, kind of perspective I put on myself was my wife and I, we got married. We got married within 2 years of my accident. We moved away from Houston for her schooling. I got a job up there, and it was in the office, and it just wasn't that great. So it was through seeing her do school that I was like, okay, I got to start thinking long term. I don't want to be just getting disability income for the rest of my life. I want to be fulfilled in my work. I never dealt with the grief of my injury. And so I eventually realized that a big holdup of why I wasn't thinking more forward, because I got to the 2-year mark and I was still thinking temporary, right? I mean, I kind of thought temporary for like maybe 4 years. I really had to go see a psychologist to deal with the grief, because I just could not access those emotions. That's what ultimately really pushed me over that hump in a really good way. It's so much easier talking to people. I don't assume the first thing they see is poor cripple guy, and because it's not usually. And if they do, who cares? When I did not deal psychologically with my injury, I kind of ate my emotions, and gained a lot of weight. So my next thing is, now that my head's right, I really want to work on, researching workout techniques, finding cardio. I have a hand cycle. It's finding ways to work out. My most surprising accomplishment is definitely my wife. And my second is I had tried school right out of high school. I tried going to university. I didn't do great, but that's, I was making money doing construction. So it's like, why am I here spending money, being poor when I can go make a bunch? So, I think my biggest accomplishment is personally is graduating magna cum laude and getting into law school and really finding my calling in life. And I don't think that would have happened without me breaking my back. I mean, life changed that day. My advice is get yourself mentally healthy as soon as you can, and deal with those emotions as soon as you can. And um, I know that's really hard, and I think that's what's held me back the most. Once I accepted that I'm very likely going to be in this chair the rest of my life, it opened up everything. There is still a lot of planning in my day. When we moved up to Boston, it was okay. Which station can I live by that's the accessible, and the stop close to my school, is it accessible? Um, which sidewalk do I take that has better pavement? With the better cutouts. And I'm not good at popping up curbs. Had a bad experience with that, so I don't like doing it. So those days are frustrating, but getting myself mentally right, I can take that and I can process it, and it doesn't make it doesn't fester. And I look for a solution, because getting angry and just staying angry isn't going to make it happen. Yeah, I get pissed when people take the handicap spots, and they don't have a placard. It's hard because there are non-visible disabilities, but sometimes you just know when that person gets out of the car that they're using their grandma's placard. There's ways around that. When I lived in Texas, I had a way I could write people tickets for that. So you can take a course where you can basically write civil or municipal code violation tickets. You get like that little sense of justice a little bit, but there are times when I've elected not to do it, just because I saw the person that got out of the car. I don't even know if I'd consider walking again a goal, mostly because I think it's entirely out of my hands and in the hands of either science or the exoskeletons things seem kind of cool. So part of my reason for getting physically back in shape is if those come, I know I can't be a fat lard and use that. One of my biggest goal is just being the best husband that I can be for my wife, because I think it's incredibly hard for spouses in our situation, because they feel everything we feel, but in a totally different way. So yeah, there's definitely goals, and some of those goals are my career in law, excelling at that, and changing what people think uh, people in wheelchairs are capable of. So people just think, "Wow, you pushed up that hill." Yeah, that's kind of every day. It's just a different way of doing things, and that's kind of how I explain it to people. It's just an entirely different way of doing things, and kind of showing like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.